I'm Chad. Welcome to Serve and Volley Tennis. Just got finished with the hitting session with my client. He's been with me for 15 years. People pay me just to hit with them. Some people pay me to give them instruction. But in this video, I want to talk about how I made my college tennis team. I played Division II. Now, I wasn't really a tennis player. I was more of a baseball player. Then I transitioned into basketball. Basketball was my passion, and I love basketball, so I just played it all the time. And when I was in my college, there were certain guys that I would play with, and they were on the tennis team. And tennis was always something that I was just interested in from afar. We had a couple of tennis courts in my community, but they were really cracked and not in the best of shape. And sometimes we'd go out there in the summertime and just bang the ball, and I had no idea what I was doing, but it was really fun. But still, I played stickball, I played basketball, I went to the gym, played some football, but really tennis was not on my mind. However, when I got to college, they had really, really nice tennis courts there. So I decided to play some tennis. Figured I'd take advantage of the situation. Oh, we have a raccoon. Look at that. Look at this little trusty raccoon right there. Hey, raccoon. They could be dangerous, though, you know. Our little friends over there. Anyhow, you never know what you're going to find when you walk out in public. But one day I used to bring my tennis racket to school and I would play tennis, but again, had no idea what I was doing, never had instruction. There was no YouTube back then. I didn't have any instructional videos. I didn't have a coach. It was just literally take the rackets out and hit the ball and just try to get over the net. And so for me, everything was about legs. Everything was about footwork and movement. I was very good as a mover. I had unbelievable cardio. So I just used that to my advantage to beat a lot of people. And I was just getting the ball over, but I had, again, no idea what I was really doing. And so one day I'm walking off campus and I see the assistant coach of the team, who he had been on the team 4 years. He was the number 2 player. He had a two-handed, forehand, and backhand, very good player. And he says to me, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." And he said, "Well, the team needs you." And I'm saying, like, what do you mean the team needs me? I was like, I suck. Like, doesn't the team have good players as it is? He says, "No, we lost a lot of good players last year, and the tryouts are happening right now." He's like, "Let me take you over to the coach. I see you have your racket." So I said, all right. So I walk over, and I had never met the coach before. His name was Alan Landers. This is Queens College, Queens, New York. And he says, "Nope." He says, "Tryouts are over. This is the last day. He can't try out." And then Mark, the assistant coach, says, "Come on, coach. I know him. He's a really good player." And when I heard that, I was like, what? Why is he saying that? I mean, Mark and I were on a friendly basis, but we weren't really friends. Why would he go to bat for me like that? I don't know. Maybe he saw me play. Maybe he saw something in me. So that belief kind of propelled me. And I was like, all right, So he put me up, coach put me up against one guy. I beat him 0-1. The next guy I beat 0-0. And I was thinking to myself, this is college tennis. They sucked. I play recreational with people better than they are. So the coach says, I come after playing the 2 guys. I go to the coach and he says to me, what's your shirt size? And I said, I think I'm a medium. And he says, okay. He says, sign these papers, and we've got 2 matches. This was a Wednesday. He said, we have 2 matches up in Boston this weekend. We're going to be leaving Friday and coming back on Sunday. So I had been on a baseball team, I had been on a basketball team, but I had never been on a tennis team. Tennis is a little bit different because it's a one-on-one sport billed as a team sport, whereas basketball, baseball, these are actual, I was even on a bowling team, although bowling is kind of like tennis in a way. It's one-on-one in a sense. But anyway, I started to, can you imagine like how my life was changing? Because I was walking off the campus thinking I'm just going home, and all of a sudden I'm on a tennis team and I'm going on road trips all over the East Coast, and I meet my teammates, and they're all much better than I am. And by the way, I got exposed to the tennis team before this. There's this guy Dan I used to play basketball with, and he was a decent basketball player, strong guy. His name was Dan Calhoun. Dan, if you're out there. I believe he became a cop. He's probably retired at this point. This was like 35 years ago or something. Dan says, because we used to play basketball, he says, you want to hit sometime? I'll hit with you. I said, okay. We hit. I literally thought this guy was Jim Courier. I mean, he was crushing the forehands, the backhands, the serves. I'd never seen a kick serve. His volleys were crisp. I said, oh my God. I said, Dan, are you going pro? And he just laughed at me. He literally laughed in my face and said, are you kidding? He says, I'm the worst one on the team. I'm like, if you're the worst one on the team, how does that make me feel? Not that I was going for the team at that point, but I was like, if he's the worst one on the team, I must really suck. But there's a huge gap between people that learn to play the right way from the beginning and people who are like me, just hacks, right? Just grab the racket. I bought Brad Gilbert's book when I got on the tennis team. It's called Winning Ugly. And that's, my teammates used to joke, I looked like Brad Gilbert and I played like Brad Gilbert and I won ugly. That's what I did. I just made it a muck. How they say sometimes, like, boxers, if they're not a pretty boxer like Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather, they have to fight dirty, get on the inside, make it a scrap. That's what I would do in tennis. I would just make it a scrap, make it really physical, get every ball back. That was my philosophy. Just get every ball back in play. And yeah, 9 out of 10 times a good player is going to put it away, but it's going to miss that one time. And it's going to be that little opening. And you're going to put a little doubt in their mind because you're going to make them run and run and run. And especially at the college level, some of these guys are not as strong mentally as some of the older guys who've been through the rigor. So, some of these guys, all they wanted to do was hit big, and I would just get the ball back, and they would end up making errors. So, I figured those things out. And when I made the team, I was playing some of these matches up in Boston, and on the East Coast, we played Concordia, we played all these different schools, Slippery Rock. And the thing is that I was losing a lot of these matches in the fall season, and I felt like I could win. I'm like, if I just had a little bit of technique, I could win. But again, there was no YouTube. There was no, there were books, and they weren't the best. Coaches were very expensive. I was in college. I couldn't afford a coach. So I just did what anyone else would do. I just played 10 hours a day. That's right. I played all the time. But it wasn't enough, because when I came back for the spring season, see, in New York, you only play in the fall. You play like September, October, then it gets too cold. And we didn't have an indoor bubble at that time. And then we go again, we start practicing maybe like late March, April, and there still could be snow on the ground. We're taking the snow off and playing on these courts. So anyway, when I came back for the spring season, there were 3 new players on the team, and they pushed me. I don't know if you know about college tennis, but only the top 6 players in singles play. So the coach kind of put me in doubles sometimes, and I really hate riding the bench. I can't stand it. Just, what did I make a team for? Just to watch other people play? So for that spring season, I didn't play singles, and I played occasional doubles, and I was just like the warm-up partner. And of course, I'd practice with the team. And in college, there's a misconception. People think that the coaches really make the players. The players come made already, okay? All the coach is doing is just organizing, traveling with you, helping you practice, meaning they're setting up a practice schedule, but you don't really get instruction from the coach. Now, there could be coaches that give a little bit more, but my coach really didn't give many tips. But he did coach, but you'd have to pay him. Yeah, so anyway, so I'm on the team in the spring, and it pissed me off. Just frankly pissed me off that I rode the bench or just played doubles occasionally. And I vowed to come back and beat everybody on that team. That's the kind of person I am. When I'm determined, I don't care. I get obsessed, and I just go full into it. So I had the coach got me a job as a court checker, and I was checking the courts at our school. Basically, you just needed to have school ID, or you needed to buy a seasonal pass to play for the summer. And so the first day on the job, all I have to do is basically check people's passes when they come on. And what I noticed throughout the summer, obviously after the first few days, that the same people come to play. And so if you've seen their pass once or their school ID, they're good. And the coach told me, you can play on the first court, just check everyone's passes when they come in. You got to stop and check everyone's passes. And I was like, okay, no problem. So everybody knew me there because I was the court checker. And all these guys, I set up matches with serve and volleyers, big servers, baseliners, moon ballers, you name it, you know, hacks, all kinds of guys from like 3.5s to 4.5s. And at that point, I might have been about a 4.0. People came and I played. I was exposed to all these different styles. And I have a lot of stamina, so I'd play one guy, then I'd play another guy, I'd play another guy, and then maybe I'd have lunch and then come back and play 3 or 4 more matches. And then I would do that every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And so I'd have to get there sometimes 7, 8 in the morning, and I would finish like 7, 8 in the evening. I know it sounds crazy, but I've always kind of been called the Iron Man of tennis. I think the reason that I could play so much was because I wasn't really moving. I was very fast moving laterally, side to side, front and back, but I wasn't like, you know, like the pros bouncing on my feet, because that takes a lot out of you. And that's another thing I just didn't know when I was playing and training. So anyway, I played all summer long, and I had a friend too. His name was Eric. So it was a Israeli guy, and we would play at night, sometimes till 4 in the morning in these bubbles. The coach got me a deal where you can play for free as long as nobody's on the court, and it was open 24 hours. So everybody would clear out about 10 o'clock. Eric and I would get on, we'd play till 4 in the morning, and then after 4 in the morning, we'd go out in the snow. It would be all, you know, cold outside. It was nice and cozy in the bubble, and then we'd head to a diner, we'd eat, and then I'd go home and crash. I felt like my life, I feel like most of my life I've lived like I'm a professional athlete, but I really don't get paid except for tennis now when people pay me to hit with them. But anyway, the tennis courts are just beyond over there. I'm just walking over here because the pickleball players came. Don't get me started about pickleball. I understand it's good for people to come out, but don't take away our tennis courts and make them into pickleball courts. And don't put the pickleball courts right next to the tennis courts, because pickleball is a loud sport. There's our raccoon friend again right there. I don't know if you can see him. But pickleball is a really loud sport, and people like to yell. I don't know. You know, it's like you playing tennis. Like, they have no idea about tennis. No idea about the decorum on the court. Anyway, so we've got a bunch of raccoons here. So I played tennis all summer, and when I came back, I had it in my mind, because I got on the team as a junior, and I only had 1 year left of eligibility. I think it took me 5 years to graduate, so I made it on my 4th year, and then my 5th year, which is like super senior year, that was it. So I said, okay, I'm not going to ride the bench. I am determined to do whatever I have to do, and that's why I played 10 hours a day. I didn't have coaching. I didn't have instructional videos. I didn't have YouTube. I wish I did. But I just played my ass off, and even if you absolutely suck and have no technique, you're going to develop some type of feel on the ball. You know, you're going to develop a better serve just by playing and playing and playing all the time. Now, I'm aware that there are people, there are older adults that play for 30 years and never improve. But when you're younger, when you're 20, 21 years old, and you're determined, and you're playing, you know, you're on a team and you're doing all the footwork drills and stuff like that, you can actually get a little bit better. I mean, for the amount of time that I put into it, I would say it was very, very inefficient, because I was playing all the time and I was only getting like that much better. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I did get a lot better, because what happened is we play these things called ladder matches. People who are on a college tennis team, you know what these are. But basically, at the start of every season, you play matches to determine the order in which people play. There's a number 1 player, number 2, and it goes to 6. Those are the guys that play. Only the top 6 guys play in the matches, and everybody else, I don't know what the maximum number of players on a team. We had about 6 or 7, and then we had 9 or 10, but I didn't want to be below 6. So my goal was to be at the 6th spot at the least, but I really wanted to beat everybody, because I don't know. If you haven't been around tennis, you don't know, some tennis people can be snobs. And for whatever reason, when I got on the team, I know I sucked, but people didn't want to hit with me. Like, I would ask them, hey, you want to hit? No, nobody wants to hit. The only people that I would hit with were the guys that were ranked 7, 8, 9, something like that. They would hit with me sometimes, but everybody thought I just sucked too much. But the funny thing was, they were probably a little in fear of me, because they knew that I was super determined and could get every ball back. Now, obviously, you know, you have better players. We had this guy Scalante on a team, Mike Scalante. The guy's 6'5", he had graduated just before I got on the team. But if he wanted to be a pro, I think he could have, because he served 120. He had a huge frame, and he did everything the right way. He had amazing touch, but he just gave no effort. He was just one of those guys that just didn't care. He didn't put any. I'm like the type of person where, like, I wish I was 6'5" like him and had his physical gifts and his abilities. Those are the type of guys that make it to the pros. I had all the heart, determination. I had the will. I would die out there if I had to. That was always my philosophy. I mean, I would do whatever it takes. I will run. I will dive. I will whatever, just to get to the ball. I still do that now, in my mid-50s. But anyway, point is that we played the ladder match. It was either 9 or 10 people on the team. So I got to the 9th spot. I beat the last guy. I was the last guy, I think, but I worked my way up the ladder in the first match. That was easy. The next match, I played this guy Zoli. He was Romanian, and there was like a little clique in the college, on the college team, where there was like 3 or 4 guys that were kind of close, and like the preppy guys. I didn't like them personally, and we didn't get along. So when I beat one of their guys, I mean, this guy, he cried. I beat him 0-0. And he had nice strokes too. I remember he had very nice strokes. But you know what? Tennis, it just requires 2 things. It just requires technique and footwork. And if you have the footwork, I mean, you could beat technique all day. If that technique is not far above your level, if it's within reach, because there are people that could just blow you off the court. Doesn't matter how fast you run. They will come in and, serve and volley and just take you off. I play these guys. I've seen these guys. They just hit massive. It's like playing with the pros. Guys hit 80-mile-an-hour forehands religiously. I mean, if you give them a short ball, they'll crush it. But it wasn't this level here. So I was playing, so I beat that guy, Zoli, beat him 0-0. And then I was like, okay, now I'm playing for, I don't know, like maybe the 6. I think when I came up to play for the 6th spot, I was really excited about it. And I won that match pretty handily. Then there was the 5 spot. I actually beat the 5 guy. I didn't think I was going to beat him, but I beat him. Then there was the 4 guy. And the 4 guy was this Chinese guy, Beng. He's pretty good. And, I win ugly. I scrap out there. I mean, I do a lot of things that people don't. One guy, I was playing a doubles match even just recently, and one guy said, "You have the most annoying brand of tennis I've ever played." And I do that on purpose because I can hit hard and I could hit good forehands and backhands, but I like to mix it up. So I slice and dice, I drop shot, I moonball, I bring people in, I lob them, I get shots back. I just make life really tough for people. And I kind of enjoy that. And so I like playing that style. I don't know why. I just like playing it. But anyway, to get back to the story, I beat Beng. And now I'm in the 4 spot, challenging for the 3 spot. And in the 3 spot was a guy that this is the guy I hated the most on the team. His name was RJ, Philippine guy. Cocky brat, that guy was. Real cocky brat, He was just always pissy with me. He thought shit didn't stink, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? I can't wait to wreck his whole world, because that would be super embarrassment. Thing was, he had massive topspin. He had that Western grip, and he hit topspin both forehand and backhand, 2-hand backhand. He wasn't a hard hitter, but he was big topspin. And for me at that time, topspin was a problem. And the reason it was a problem was because I had a lot of trouble on the higher balls. Now, I would slice them, but sometimes it's not effective enough. And sometimes these balls kick you back, and I didn't know the technique. Of course, now I know the technique, but everybody struggles more on the higher balls, especially on the backhand. And my slice back then wasn't as good as it is now. And also I can step in now, I can do different things. But I never got to play him because I was playing a practice match with my friend Eric, the Israeli guy, in the bubble at night. And it was match point, and I skidded out. There was some dirt on the floor like this, and my foot just skidded out, and I rolled my ankle really bad. And can you imagine how disappointed that must be? I worked so hard to make the freaking 4 spot, challenging for the 3 spot, and now I can barely walk. And it's my last year of eligibility. well, you know me, right? Well, you don't know me, but I don't let anything stop me, right? Maybe if I had an absolutely shattered leg, and I just couldn't put any weight on it, but I figured, you know what? I can play one-legged. That's the that's the kind of mentality I had. I'll play one-legged. I don't know if you watch NBA, but I can't watch it anymore with the load management and these babies. Like, oh, my knee hurts. I got to take off. You know what Michael Jordan said? Michael Jordan said, I need to play every game because there's a father and a son out there watching me for the first time, coming to my game, and I want to show them what I can do. And, that's the kind of mentality. Not that I had people watching me, but I was like, I'm not the type of person to sit out. I hate being injured. So I hobbled over to the coach on one leg the next day, and I said, look, I couldn't fake it. I said, I sprained my ankle playing tennis, and it's pretty bad, but I'm willing to continue playing. He thought that was kind of crazy. So he says, well, there's no point in you challenging for the 3 spot. I said, well, look, I made the team. I'll play. I'll play on one leg. Put me on the starting lineup. So he says, okay. So he put me in the starting lineup at the number 6 position. That was the compromise. And there was a little bit of relief because I was kind of wondering how I was going to handle the 4, or even if I won the 3, how I was going to play some of these, better guys, because we did play a couple of Division I schools, and you play at the 3 or 4 spot. It's pretty rough. So it was a little bit of a relief, so, okay, I'm at the 6 spot. And the first match I played was this guy. I think we played Concordia. And I'm just hopping on one leg. I'm barely, moving. I could barely put any weight onto it was my right leg. It's always the right one that gets injured. And I remember we went to a tiebreaker. Everybody was watching, and I finally beat him in a tiebreaker. And he sucked. I would have beat him 0-0 if I wasn't injured. And then as we played, over the course of the weeks and months, I started to get better. I was winning almost all I think I went undefeated in the conference at the 6 spot. I lost some matches when we played Division I teams and things like that. But overall, I was happy with my game despite my ankle. And I think the last match we had to play a Concordia game, and I played that same guy, and I beat him 0-0 in 10 minutes. He must have been like, wow, this guy must have improved. It's like, no, I just was playing you on one leg the first time. So anyway, and that's what happened. I went on to win Most Valuable Player of the Year not Most Valuable Player, but I went on to win the Most Improved Player on the team. And people, I gained people's respect. And I went on to be a recreational player after that time and do coaching. But the thing is but deep down, I always wish that I had expert coaching from the time I was young. But unfortunately, I didn't. I was a hack, and I developed some really bad habits. And I didn't know about those habits until I saw them on video. First time I ever videoed myself, I was playing in the bubble with Eric, and I saw myself, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that is me. Because I love Pete Sampras, and I patterned my game after Pete Sampras. And, so I would do the leg thing with it, like the way he would rock his leg back when he would serve, and how he hit his forehand and everything. Backhand, I usually hit 2-handers, so I patterned that after Agassi. But watching myself on video, it was very evident that it was not even 5% of Sampras or Agassi. Barely. It was so disgusting that I wanted to quit tennis on the spot. And then for a long time after that, I never videoed myself. So it wasn't until years later, really just not till recently, that I decided to video my game again. So every time I go out and have a practice session, or I'm on the ball machine, I am looking at my form and critiquing it, because I'm my own coach. I really don't trust other coaches, and it's kind of expensive, and I know what I'm doing. So I just look at myself, and what I didn't really know, I mean, this is fixed now, but back then I used to have these really bad habits. Like I would have these hitches in my shot, or I would be very late to the ball, or I wasn't moving right, or sometimes it was I just hit the ball behind me, so I didn't have my power. I wasn't bent. I wasn't staying low enough. I mean, there's so many things that I was doing wrong, but what I did right was, I mean, what really matters the most is how you connect with the ball, and everything else is just leading up to it, and there's the moment of impact, and then there's the afterward. Well, I mean, I made it work for my style, my body type. Obviously, all these bad habits contributed to a poor foundation and not a great follow through. I really think that if your power position is compromised, and if you don't have a powerful power position, if you know what that is, power position is the moment before you go into the slot position and the racket drop, you will not really have a good stroke. You know, if your feet are too close together when you play, you know, you need to have a solid base. They need to be about as wide as your shoulders or wider, and you need to have those knees bent. And if you don't, you're likely not going to have a good shot. And that's what I noticed most about the pros, is that they bend a lot more than you think. Most of the players I see, they stand straight up, and that was how I used to play. And I've had to make these corrections, and I've done it through video. But being on the college team was definitely, it definitely provided me some great memories. We traveled all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, from Connecticut down to Florida. And I love the competition, and I still compete today in various leagues, and I play matches, singles, doubles. I've played USTA, and you know, tennis, it's it's a lifelong learning experience, because there's always more to learn and more to improve. I mean, you have the basics, you have the foundation. Once you know how to swing, there's footwork patterns, there's the serve. I mean, most people can get the game in a year or two of learning. Sometimes it is difficult. I'll go into another video on that. But basically, I wanted to share my college tennis experience with you, because maybe you haven't been in college, but people think just because I played college tennis that I'm like some type of semi-pro. There's college guys out there, but trust me, they're like 3.5, 4.0 sometimes. You look at Division II. I don't know if they have Division III. But yeah, I was surprised. I made the team. Really surprised. I was surprised that I went undefeated in the conference. But sheer will, speed, movement. I guess I didn't have the best footwork, but I had good movement. There's a difference between movement and footwork. People think if you're just running to the ball, that's footwork. But footwork is actually a little bit different. And I'll make a video about that soon. So anyhow, hope you enjoyed the story. If you are in the Boynton Beach area or Palm Beach County, ever come down and want to hit with me or want lessons, let me know. Link is below, and I will see you in the next video. Chad with Serve and Volley Tennis, signing out.